just obviously just early in the league play. As you guys can see, time and time again, the league shows it's a cut above the rest of the country, and the games are bearing that out. So we know we got a great challenge on our hands against a team that I know is going to come in here with a tremendous amount of motivation, considering how their last game played out. And so we got to be ready for their best punch, and see how we can measure up to what we believe is the competition in this conference.
What do you think when you're watching these Big 12 games?
I mean, when I'm watching them, I enjoy them.
Yeah.
When I'm coaching them, it's not as fun. But no, it's got a lot of respect for all these, all the programs, all the kids. I know a lot of them. I've recruited a lot of kids. I look around at these rosters and think, man, I've recruited a lot of guys who wound up playing at other schools in this conference, and most of them seem to be doing pretty well. And so I have an appreciation for the difficulty and the intensity at which the games are being played, and the level of competition that I don't think people quite still realize. And obviously, being from New York and the East Coast, there still seems to be an unwillingness to accept what people are watching as it being the best, and maybe it's because of where we're located in the country. We don't have a tremendous, no disrespect to any of you guys, national market, media marketing presence. And to some degree, that hurts us from an exposure and kind of newsy talk about standpoint. But the truth is, since I've been in the league, every year that a tournament's been played, Big 12 teams made it to the Final Four. And the last two times, the national championships come from this league. And the one year that there was no tournament, I'm fairly confident Baylor and Kansas would have been #1 seeds. And I think that's the best Kansas team that I've coached against in my time. So the strength of the league isn't new, but that's kind of what goes to my mind is I wish people, I think they know the numbers, but I don't think they're willing to just accept it.
You feel like the players are starting to accept that and realize it too, 2 games in?
I don't know. I don't know if I worry about whether they accept it or not. I know that I just try to worry about them being as prepared as they can for the next game, and not. I want them not as consumed about the big picture, to be perfectly honest, because you can then start to look at this as a pretty daunting task, and so just staying focused on today in the moment, not worried about the big picture. Sometimes is a little bit better approach for them.
To that point, do you think it was an advantage to have Kansas up first, the team just as well as they've always played, and kind of like a measuring stick almost for you guys?
I certainly don't think it hurt at all. Now, a lot of people, obviously, the schedule comes out and they look like, man, that's pretty hard. Well, again, I feel confident in our team as well. And I sat here, I think, a week ago today and told you guys I felt confident that we would go up there and play well, that we were prepared to give ourselves a great chance to win. And they did that. And I was more impressed, honestly, by the way they responded, after the way the game ended. Even though there were a lot of things that we could have controlled, coming back less than 48 hours later and having to perform against another really quality opponent, one that had been ranked in the top 25 right up until that game was played, with a Hall of Fame coach, as physical as the game had to be played, to be there mentally in a way that gave themselves a chance was pretty impressive, and a sign that we'll continue to grow as a team.
How's Musa doing?
Better. Hasn't practiced, but it was his ankle. There was some swelling there that subsided yesterday. Still a little tender, so we'll just kind of see. He's kind of day to day at this point. Hopefully, he can get in practice tomorrow and then see where he is on Saturday.
You've talked about his importance, especially on the defensive end. What does it look like without him?
I mean, obviously, we'll play a little bit smaller. I mean, no question. I don't know if I've thought about that in specific detail in terms of the rotation. But, obviously what comes to mind is maybe Tariq, his minutes go up, and maybe Q and Woody have to play more. And, you just kind of got to see defensively how you plug the holes. And then, Bernie showed that he can give us a few minutes as well. So you recruit depth and you try to practice everybody at the same level every day so that, something happens, the next man up is prepared, at least mentally, to go out there and do the job confidently.
What's
If
the
he does ends up practicing, and you know, obviously it was just one practice, then he gets to play. Are you concerned at all as far as the defensive approach with Texas not being able to have him in practice, or just, you know, what he brings to the game, you just kind of plug him in and let him do his thing?
Yeah, if this was earlier in the year, I would be concerned about that. Well, if he hadn't been in our system, but you know, this is game 15, I guess. Practice in the 60s. And we pretty well know who we are at this point and what we need from him. And even if it's a little bit more limited physically, mentally, we know he'll be prepared to do whatever it is to help us have a chance to win against a really good team.
Are there differences in Texas with Coach Terry versus Coach Beard? Have you noticed anything in watching film or anything like that?
Not necessarily. I mean, they're scoring the ball like crazy, but I think offensively they had shown to be better even at the beginning of the year. So, not necessarily any specific differences. A lot of the same guys are playing with the same level of confidence and aggressiveness that they were before. So, I don't see any significant differences.
Do you like getting a team off of a loss, or does it create any different challenges? Do they have a different motivation? Do you guys approach it differently, or what? What is
Nah,
that like?
I mean, I don't know if I've ever even considered that, to be honest. I'm always focused on our preparation, where we are mentally, specifically based off of what I know about our guys. And, you know, I'm more concerned about us coming off a win, you know, and how we approach preparation the next day, because it's always easier kind of to get your focus back after you don't perform as well as you know you're capable of, than to when you figure it out. You know, again, I go back to why we schedule the way we do. You know, 50-point wins do nothing for me except for, you know, kind of blow the record that I don't think is going to be very significant at the end of my career, which I don't plan on coaching until I'm 80, so I'm not breaking anybody's records. I just want to make sure my team's getting better, and if that's happening, then I feel good about, you know, what we're doing.
Going back to the overall strength of the Big 12, you said that you've seen some stacked conferences in your time here. Is this year's Big 12 any better, or is that just kind of talk?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I feel like it may be becoming something people think I'm just saying all the time, but I believe it's better than it's ever been, and I've said that probably every year that I've been here. I don't even like to use the word bottom. There's no bottom of this league. I mean, you know, someone sent me a stat this morning, and people send me stats all the time. There's some metric out there that shows that the lowest rated team in our league is like 39th. I mean, that's absurd. I mean, I don't know how many conferences, other Power Fives, that have more than one team ranked in the top 40. Rather the whole league being there. And I do want to point this out, and I think it's important that the conversation is started as early as possible, because there's this notion that you can't have the whole league make it to the tournament. And until somebody shows me that there's a rule against it, then I think we need to stop saying that, because people start believing what they hear in that regard. If the 10 teams in our league are good enough to make it, they should make it. And I don't think there should be some arbitrary reason that they're all from the same league. No one else has to go against the other 9 most difficult schedules in the country for the rest of the season. And so I think that's important. I've heard some people say that, you know, they can't get all 10. Why not? The Big Ten got 10 teams in. It's just that the other 5 teams that didn't get in weren't good enough. And so if they can get in 10, sure, we can, even if that means it's 100% of the league, because, you know, every night you're playing against a team that's capable of getting into that tournament and winning games, not just showing up for, you know, some claps and you know, balloons.
What would that look like from a practical standpoint in terms of wins and losses? Because you'd obviously need whoever finishes first to not win 16 games, whatever that.
Well, I mean, I don't know what the number is. I can't see anybody going unblemished. I don't see it. Maybe it happens. It's a hard 18 games to navigate without. It's a lot of ways to lose a game, which is why I have a hard time when people can't accept just enjoying a win. Like, there are a lot of ways to lose a game, and so to go through and 18 times, you know, and I've been on staff with a team who's done it a couple times. It's hard And so, yeah, someone can't be that much better than the last place team. But I don't think that's going to be the case. I don't know what it looks like it's never happened,
Mhm.
but I don't think we should say it can't happen or that it's not possible because, you're supposed to just look outside of the conference affiliation and say who are the best teams available to go in. And if the 10th place team, whoever that is, has a resume that's worthy over the 3rd place team in another Power 5, then that's on that conference, not ours.
Obviously, Texas talent level is high, but as far as just what you're seeing on film, how unique of a challenge are they as far as how they want to approach this game in comparison to who you've played so far, and just what makes your approach different as well as far as going up against a team like that, and just trying to figure out what's the nuance when it comes to the Texas team.
Well, you always start with personnel, and obviously coming into the league, you got the reigning freshman of the year in the conference who transfers there. It's a pretty good addition, Someone's already familiar with the conference, has had success, paired with a guy who was an all-conference backcourt member last year. And so tremendous firepower there. They're both playing really, really confident basketball right now. They seem to be very comfortable with each other when obviously that was a little bit of a question coming in. How could they share that position? And then, they have a great combination of experience with guys like, Timmy Allen, Dylan Dessou, Christian Bishop, all who've been in the league, Brock Cunningham, who's been around here forever, and then some really, talented newcomers. Serge Jabari Rice, really good, been a really productive player in his college career so far. Dylan Mitchell, maybe the most athletic player in a really athletic conference. So really deep, really talented, but also a great combination of experience and young talent that kind of blended well together. And so for us, it's just a matter of trying to figure out what we're going to live with, because you can't take away everything. And so obviously our focus will be on their backcourt primarily, but then obviously rebounding and transition defense so those other guys can't get easy baskets will be important.
You mentioned how they're scoring the ball. You guys have kind of planted your flag on the defensive end. Have you issued that as a challenge to your guys going into this?
Yeah, strength on strength. I mean, a lot's been made of K-State, going up there and scoring 116. I saw Texas score 103 and have scored over 100 twice in their last 3 or 4 games. So they're really, really explosive. Obviously, they haven't scored at that rate the whole time, but I think they're averaging in the 80s, which in this league is kind of an anomaly because most of us are pretty defensive focused. So yeah, it creates an opportunity for us to see if our defense can really stand up against a team that's capable of, I was out watching a high school game, and I looked at the score at halftime, and I saw Texas had 40, and never imagined I would think that they would be down 18 points at home, but that was the case. So I'm sure in the last couple of days they've tried to attack their defensive approach, because that's much easier of a problem to fix than the offense.
Anything else?